So JD, you and I have not talked about this, at least in person or on a podcast,
No.
since it happened. Let me get your thoughts on the new AEW TV deal. We've been covering this damn story for 2 years, and then when it breaks, we can't go. It was like just our luck. The biggest story that we've been covering for a long time, we weren't able to cover it. But I did do a little bit of something on here last week, just kind of like a couple minute intro about it. Did something solo, but we have not heard from you.
I mean, like, what stone did not we unturn in the last 2 years with this discussion? I mean, I'm happy. Like, I wish I was more invested in the product right now. Like, I don't think that it's bad, but like, I've never been less engaged with AEW.
Yeah.
Like, I really think the company's lacking a firm direction at the moment. And I was hoping that seeing this deal, we could start really moving in a direction. And maybe that takes more time than I think, but I'm just tired of the WWE-ness in the company. I'm over it. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy. I'm hoping it takes some pressure off, but whatever. I'm kind of, I don't know what more we can say about it.
Yeah, you know what? I thought this past week's Dynamite, I mean, it still had a couple good matches, and that's just because that's just what they do.
Mhm.
I was so not interested in the show. They had a terrible rating. It was the lowest rated show that they've ever done.
Well, to be fair, they didn't even announce the show really. Like I didn't even know the show was on until Muse texted me.
Yeah. JD texted our group chat and was like,
What it
"Hey,
was,
is the show on tonight?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he goes, "When did that happen?" Because you're not living on Twitter right now. You're not on Twitter, so you don't get those announcements.
And like I've been very like hit or miss with Twitter. I got this. I don't know. I got a tirade. I'll go on a little bit later, I guess. But I'm just kind of over it at the moment. And so I guess that if you're not on Twitter, you don't get that AEW news. So I had no idea. I was at practice, and I'm like, oh. I never caught up. I didn't get to watch last week's Dynamite because it wasn't on normal time. So I was just doing other stuff last night. And I was going to watch it tonight, and that just didn't happen. So I was reading results online. I don't know. I think they kind of dropped the ball. I mean, like, I didn't know.
Yeah. No, they clearly dropped the ball because I think all day Tuesday, Tony Khan was like tweeting. He was tweeting nonstop about the show being at Tuesday. Not only it was on Tuesday, it was at 9 p.m. So it was a different start time. So like double whammy. But like the worst thing of all, because they've switched nights before and it's never been this bad. I think the worst thing that they did was they just chose not to promote it. Mm-hmm. They didn't promote it very much. They talked about it last week. I happened to just remember that it was going to be on Tuesday because they were calling it Title Tuesday. So I just remembered the catch line. But even I did not know that it was at 9:00. I was gonna like pull it up on my TV here because I was off, and I was gonna try to do split screen with the NXT just so I can get the picture for social media, just so people think, oh hey, look, brother's watching Graps, and but it wasn't on at 2 p.m. here on Hawaii Standard Time. I had to wait till 3. And so I was like, oh well, shit. So I can't do it at 3. So I ended up having to watch it like later in the evening. But yeah, so I think the worst thing that happened was they just chose or just forgot or just assumed that their audience would follow them to Tuesday night at 9 p.m. And it just didn't happen. And that kind of shows like poor judgment on their part, but B, like the company's a bit cold right now.
Oh, big time. Big time. Like, I don't know, man. I'm so like thoroughly disappointed in the infrastructure right now. Like, I just don't understand how they can't get their messaging on point. Like, it's really frustrating right now as a fan. Like, I feel at a time when I feel like a lot of fans are kind of like me. We've got a pay-per-view coming up this week, and it's got about 7,100 tickets sold. I imagine they'll knock on the door of 8.
Yeah.
We used to get like 12 to these things, right? 10 to 12, like pretty consistently. And like, and the wrestling is good. I think the main event stuff is good, but just like everything else just is so slapdash right now. It feels so, the whole company just feels so unfocused. I think it starts with the room and filters down.
I think that is the big word that makes the most sense. So like Chris Statlander was a heel last week. All of a sudden just appears on television, is now a babyface, and is trying to go after the TBS title from Mercedes Moné. She ditches Stokely. They didn't really do an angle about losing Stokely, and now she's chasing Mercedes Moné, and she's very likely to get a title shot soon.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. I mean,
no. No, it literally just happened like out of thin air.
See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, why are we so scattershot with everything? Like, again, and I was super invested in this company. I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be, and now I feel like I'm completely lost. And it's like I feel like it's hard to get in, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's becoming kind of a content farm, and I think they're just hoping that you just forget about that stuff. It reminds me of another company.
Reminds me of someplace that used to be like that.
Yeah. But so with the TV deal, yeah, I mean it's great. It's great news for them, but they still have a lot of problems they got to figure out.
Mhm.
And I think the grifters are going to latch on to that. And
Of course,
but not all of them are wrong. I think if they were to say there's valid criticisms of the creative product right now, I'd say that there is a lot of creative issues with the company right now because they're losing steam despite the fact that they got some more money, and they're losing popularity despite the fact that they got more money. But so my hope is that with them going to I hope they figure out the infrastructure, they get things back on track, and creatively they hit look, Tony Khan might be a little bit burned out. It's football season, there's probably some stuff going on with that guy, and maybe he's losing his fastball a little bit. I don't know. Like, bookers tend not to last very long, and he's been booking the show for a long, and he's got several shows. He's been booking all these shows for a long time. So maybe he needs to call in some reinforcements there. I know he's got a whole committee now, but things seem not to be getting better, unfortunately.
no,
So I hope yeah, they figure that part out. And really what I hope is that them being on Max and being co-streamed on Max and being on demand on Max will actually grow the product, and we'll get new eyeballs on this thing, and hopefully it'll re-energize something.
fix something. Yeah, that's oops, go back on. Like, yeah, this isn't like it hasn't been done before. It isn't like you can't fix things once a problem has been identified, right? We saw it in WWE. They were at their creative worst. They got some more money. They made some changes, and now their fan base seems to be pretty happy, right? So I think it's not impossible for AEW to make some adjustments. The problem is that I don't know where to start, and I don't think the right people are talking, and I don't know if Tony can really say, "Hey, man, we got to get better," because it seems like they'll have a couple good weeks, and then we start slipping. Like I remember last week, I think it was last week, they had some like super WWE-esque. Oh yeah, the thing with Billy Gunn and the male models. I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, I just don't.
Those guys are getting a pay-per-view match, by the way. Those guys are going to be a Wrestle Dream wrestling on the card against the Acclaimed.
I don't hate those guys in theory, but I mean, like, I just didn't. The angle is stupid. Like, why are we doing this? Like, why can't we just tell people, no, this is a bad idea. This is not what we do here. Like, that's where my frustration comes with this. Is like, if I wanted that stuff, I'd watch WWE, and more, I'll turn on this show, and I feel like I'm just watching WWE, and like, I don't know, man. I'm knocking on the door of being like, because it's not like anger, but it's like apathy, right? I feel like my apathy for this promotion grows week to week. I think big reason that I'm not on Twitter as much anymore is because I'm just disassociated with AEW. I mean, like, and that's what I did on Twitter is I talked about wrestling, and like, I just haven't been talking about wrestling as much because it's not a lot of fun right now. And I don't think you're wrong with the grifters aren't going to stop grifting. And the problem with the grifters is they take any legitimate criticism and they defang it, because they have to make it about stuff that it's not about, right? Yeah. So you don't get legitimate discussion on what's the flaws in the booking. You don't get legitimate discussion of why aren't they selling tickets. You get sky is falling type shit. You get all the bullshit that goes along with it, right? I mean, there's way too much Chris Legentil and Nick Khan influence in social media, and specifically in the critic sphere, to the point where you can't have a real discussion about what's up with AEW. You just can't.
Yeah, no, you can't. It's almost like political discourse.
Kind
of. You can't, like, if you can't honestly criticize one or the other without it getting to be into tribalism. And so that's why I try to, with pro wrestling specifically, I try to stay neutral. I'm pretty tough on AEW. I'm probably more tough on WWE. I'm fucking brutal to TNA, to the fact that more and more of their wrestlers block me than ever. So I just found out fucking Rosemary blocks me. I was like, I've always kind of liked Rosemary. What the hell?
You said that bad thing that one time, so now they're all mad at you.
Yeah, the J word got me in trouble there. So her and Cardona and a bunch of other people just started randomly blocking me.
Remember when Chris Hero blocked us because we picked on Rachel Evers?
Yeah, yeah. Well, she was crying on TNA,
There
and it
was.
was the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. So she had that coming.
I he still blocks us. That's kind of bummed me out because I always like Chris Hero. You know, I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
I didn't even earn that one. Well, I guess we kind of did earn that one.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
we came after his lady, so
yes, I get that.
yeah.
You got to stand tall for your lady. I understand that. I don't know, man. My opinion, my honest opinion. Now, I think pro wrestling kind of sucks.
You know what? It ebbs and flows. There's
Hmm.
like peaks and valleys. The good news is if you get tired of one company, there's like 50 other companies that you can just follow,
Hmm.
right? Like, you know what I watched the other day? I watched fucking Gleet. I don't even know what a Gleet is.
I think Glate. I think it's pronounced Glate.
It's GLEAT.
I'm aware of that, sir. But
Okay.
so this is
Whatever the
okay.
whatever the hell
Okay.
they call it. But
Okay.
it's Shima's promotion, right?
This. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's I think it's run by legitimate business owners specifically, sir.
Okay.
Um,
They
I
they have like the dark suits and some tattoos on the
I
arms and
didn't
stuff,
say
those
that.
guys?
I didn't say that. I know nothing about legitimate
Oh,
businessmen wearing dark
oh,
suits.
actually, why don't you go ahead and talk about that real quick?
Well, I'm fulfilling this is Gaijin, my new book
Yeah.
on that's not currently available on Amazon. We are currently fulfilling all the Kickstarters. Everyone who got the paperback should have it. The people who ordered the hardcover have not received theirs yet because ordering it from a different place and it takes longer to get the hardcovers done. So we're currently fulfilling those orders, and then on Christmas time we will do the official launch for Gaijin. I'm pretty excited. I've actually gotten some really good feedback on this book. I'm very proud of that actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, a friend of ours who may or may not speak Japanese told me that um glate is like great, but
Oh shit. Dude, I had no clue, man.
glate. So like infer that what you will. That's what I was told by a friend of ours who speaks Japanese.
Okay.
So
Hold on.
anyways,
Hey, Brian in the chat, that is defamatory, and I'm not going to acknowledge your probably true comment.
what did he say? I even missed it. Brian
Oh,
says, oh, pull it up. Oh,
I did.
oh, I missed it. Glade
It's on the
funded by
screen.
I don't know that. Sorry.
Yeah.
My camera was blocking.
Oh, okay.
I can neither confirm nor deny that that's
Yeah.
accurate, sir.
So well, I guess my point is that yeah, I have kind of like been. I'm still watching Dynamite because it's just kind of
Mhm,
my routine. You know,
mhm.
I still like the show. I didn't think this week's show was very good, actually. And that was probably one of the worst go home shows they've ever done. It just seemed weird. The show.
Yeah,
It was very weird.
disappointing.
And so I was like, you know what? Glate is on YouTube for free. And they had Ricochet on there. They had the Rascals on there. And those are my boys. I like those guys. And they had Parker Boudreaux on there. I was like, I'm just gonna check
Oh,
this out. It just, he's just like a guy that's out there grinding, trying to get better.
good
So
for
I'm like,
him.
good for him, man. Hell
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Fucking go get yours. So I was like, I'm gonna give this a little bit of a shot. They didn't have commentary, so it kind of was like, it's tough. But I was actually able to watch a lot of it, and was like, yeah, some of these wrestlers are pretty bad, but other ones are like really freaking good, and the crowd was hot for some of that stuff. So it was like a fun show. So it's like if you obviously think WWE sucks, and when AEW is kind of like in their down period, which kind of seems like it happens every football season,
That's true.
maybe Japan is still there, right? New Japan's kind of down right now, but they still got Noah's still doing their thing, and All Japan's still out there, and then fucking CMLL in Mexico's doing some cool stuff. So just go watch some other shit.
I really wish CMLL was posting their stuff to YouTube still, and that didn't have the app because I would be watching way more CMLL. I
Yeah,
just don't want to pay for another app, you know?
yeah, that's true.
I've heard nothing but good things about where Dragon Gate is this year. Like, plug for Open the Voice Gate on our Voices of Wrestling podcast network. But I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
nothing but good things about where Dragon Gate is this year. I'm debating on getting back into Dragon Gate a bit. I don't know if I should or not, but it's a thought
Is
that I have had.
is Dragon Gate where that kid from MLW works, Shun Skywalker?
I hate you so much.
that joke still
I know
lands
that's an
2
old
years
school
later.
joke. Yeah, that's an old school joke that goes back to our fight game days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. Look, Brian in the chat. Apparently, RD Evans helped produce the MXM acclaim segment. Dude, RD Evans and Jimmy Jacobs are all over these
Fucking
Dynamite
hate those
shows.
guys.
Yeah.
God, I hate those. And these are the guys. It's so funny. I had that meltdown on my final brace for Impact, where I can't do this anymore. And the guys that were booking that garbage have invaded my favorite company and are spreading this bullshit over there. RD Evans and Jimmy Jacobs fucking suck. I don't care if that gets me in trouble with people. They're not good. Their stuff now, their influence is all over this company. It was way better when those guys were doing stuff in TNA, and I hate it.
Yeah. So TNA has gotten better since they left, believe it or not.
Yeah,
like they're like selling a lot more tickets now. And it's like, obviously the WWE partnership has helped, but
for sure.
I think just like the shows are much easier watches. There's less hokiness. They still got some hokiness. Like PCO is pretty hokey character, but I just kind of dig PCO.
But I mean, like TNA always is going to be hokey. It's part of the charm of TNA, but I'll never get over it. Taylor Wilde doing the tarot cards thing on the ring apron during a match. It just, I snapped. I couldn't watch this anymore. And now that shit's here. It's like, I'm so like depressed. I'm so like depressed with wrestling right now. It's sad.